never going to give you up.
Never gonna let you down.
Never gonna run around and
Dessert.
you.
Never
Gonna make
You
cry. Never
gonna
say
goodbye.
never gonna tell
lie.
and hurt
You
Oh, start the show!
Welcome to Cordkillers, our mission to report the intel from the front lines of the cord-cutting revolution so you, my friends, have all the information you need to be able to watch what you want, when you want, where you want, on whatever damn device you choose. I'm Tom Merritt.
Hey man, I'm Brian Brushwood, but more importantly, you just heard from Adult Swim Australia, which I totally assume has to be the actual official channel. Please let it be the official channel because they released a video labeled Season 3 Rick and Morty Opener Released, and it turned out to be a cobbled together atonal Rickroll, which was
absolute Rickroll, but all the words taken from Rick and Morty.
Of course, including the I don't remember that much stuttering in the original Rickroll.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know, Rick. Hey, joining us today, we're very happy to have Jared Newman. He writes the cord cutting column for Tech Hive and the Cord Cutter Weekly newsletter, freelance writer extraordinaire. We're actually going to talk about one of his Fast Company articles today on the show as well. Jared, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm going to apologize one more time for the cold and the raspy voice, and then I'm never going to mention it again.
See, okay, you got to go a step farther, because what I do is I apologize. I'm sorry for the cold, the voice, my poor commentary, my lack of insight, the fact that I didn't read the articles. If you apologize for all of them, you're covered, right?
We'll do that at the end.
Okay, all right, good enough.
Yeah, it's we'll get to the young pope later, but we'll give you a blanket absolvance of all of your ills from the beginning of this. Let's get into our primary target. So a couple different Apple stories. For one, Eddie Q and Ben Silverman were on stage at the Code Media Conference earlier this week talking about the upcoming Apple original show, Planet of the Apps. They also showed off the trailer that we've talked about previously for Carpool Karaoke, the show, which is also coming to Apple Music. Planet of the Apps, apps not apes, was created by will.i.am and he appears as an advisor on the show along with Gary Vaynerchuk, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Jessica Alba. And then it's kind of Shark Tank meets The Voice. So developers show up, pitch their app ideas. Each advisor picks one developer from all the pitches to work with, and at the end, all four teams pitch to venture capitalists, and the winner of the series gets $10 million from venture capitalists in order to create the app, and it'll get prominent placement in the App Store, etc. Brian, it's appearing on Apple Music, as you would expect an app development show to.
Okay, so first of all, understand that I want this to be very, very good. I don't know the other three, but Gary Vaynerchuk and I have been friendly over the years, right? We see each other.
Oh, you mean Gwyneth Paltrow, right?
No, I mean Gary
Actually,
Vaynerchuk.
okay.
Gary Vaynerchuk and I have been very friendly, and we shot some stuff together, and I want this to be very, very good. And the things that it has going for it is $10 million is a huge purse, and the fact that this could genuinely document the origin story of the next big app would be huge, right? And I suspect that is what Apple Music is going for, and I hope it totally works out. Here's what I'm worried about. When we run into difficulty in stuff we do on my tiny little online store, scam stuff, it's when we underestimate the importance of the Venn diagram. So it's like anyone on the store, no scam school, no scam stuff. But when we restrict a product to over age 21 and over, that Venn diagram, the crossover gets smaller. That's the new pool of people who will buy it. If we also restrict it to people who like beer, it gets even smaller. And if we double restrict it to people who like beer and want to try their hand at home brewing or whatever, it gets even smaller. That was a lesson that we learned organically, and I feel a vague unease at this because the first circle is people who have Apple Music or are into Apple Music. Number two, who love Shark Tank style reality shows. It's a little bit of a thin slice. Three, who genuinely care about Silicon Valley structure, the gossip stories that's going on. This seems way small. And by the way, you can't just say Silicon Valley, the HBO show, it's about Silicon Valley. It's not about Silicon Valley. It's about the characters. The MacGuffin is Silicon Valley. It could be about Martian politics, and we would still love that show. This is about actual Silicon Valley, and I just don't know that it's going to resonate. I don't know how big that Venn diagram is. What about you, Jared? What do you say?
I think, to me, the thing is, you sort of have these well-documented concerns from developers with the App Store, and I almost feel like a show like this glosses over or kind of makes light of like the actual things that people have going on. Like they can't do trials, they can't do paid upgrades. People feel like they can't get discovered, and to make it like this sort of dog and pony show about, get your app made and discovered. It just seems a little, I don't know if disingenuous is the right word, but I don't know. It doesn't seem to really capture what's going on and help people out in a real way.
Well, and keep in mind, all of this can be utterly destroyed with the first episode being compelling and awesome and feel like true inside sauce with the documentary feel that all of a sudden we feel ownership. None of this is to say we can't totally be blown away by the first episode and everybody invested in it's the new electric phenomenon, which again, I really hope it is, but I just, it's so specific in so many ways, Tom.
Well, I know. And carpool karaoke seems like a great idea. Like, hey, take people in Apple Music who like music and are into pop culture, bring them a very popular program produced out of CBS, so it's going to be real high quality, and it's a great retention play. Maybe won't necessarily convert a bunch of people to Apple Music, but it'll keep them happy and it'll create some buzz. The Planet of the Apps just doesn't fit into Apple Music very well. It seems like Apple is doing a test run for something else and is putting it in Apple Music because that's the place they have to distribute this right now, unless they sell it through the iTunes store. And so, this is a way to say, we have this service that delivers things streaming. Let's use that for now, which brings me to our other Apple story. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman says his sources report Apple is testing a new Apple TV with 4K capability. Everybody's been waiting for that. And Gurman says his sources say regarding the hiring of Fire TV chief Timothy Twerdahl as the new marketing head for Apple TV, the arrival of Twerdahl will free up his predecessor, Pete Distad, to go back and start hammering out content deals and potentially revive the skinny bundle. And that would be an outlet where Apple may say, now we've got programs we can put on a bundle ourselves on an in-house channel alongside with other stuff.
I have thoughts on this, but I want to hear Jared's take first.
Okay, so I think it's a really good time to revive the skinny bundle talks. If you think about what the rumors were back in 2015, when Apple was apparently looking at this, there was Sling TV, they had 10 channels, and it was apparently really hard just to get those 10 channels. There was PlayStation View, and they were in like 10 markets or something where they could do local channels. And Apple really wanted those local channels, and they really wanted high quality channels. And I think over the last 2 years, you've seen TV networks are really getting on board with the concept. There was a report recently that industry insiders kind of getting optimistic about local affiliate stations getting on board with these bundles. So I think if Apple were to kind of reattack this, they might have a good chance at putting together what they actually wanted a couple of years ago, or at least something close enough to it. And now they have the TV app. They could kind of integrate what they have into that app. They might actually have the complete solution that Steve Jobs wanted.
So
according to this article from Gurman, what Steve Jobs wanted was the TV app as the front end to your cable box. So the Apple TV would have had a coaxial output on the back, but you would never have seen the interface from your cable company. And of course, cable companies would never go along with that. So I think you bring up a really good point, Jared, is that now we don't necessarily see Apple trying to break ground with deals and having people freak out, go, hold on, we're not used to this. This is new and you want too much control. You have a template out there. Local stations have gotten over their initial concerns and like, okay, so if you do a deal with Sling, we get this. And now it's easier to make a deal, especially with Hulu and YouTube jumping on board.
Sure.
Okay. Well, real quick. So I don't know how much of this we have time to bring up, Tom, but you and I spoke before the show, and you had the position that the iPhone was never like. My favorite quote from this Bloomberg article is from an anonymous source inside Apple who said, "We got in this for revolutionary. We've gotten evolutionary. And your point, Tom, if I understand you correctly, is that Apple's always been evolutionary.
Yeah,
and
I wish we could replay that conversation. That's the danger of having these conversations.
Yeah.
But I argued the iPhone has never really been revolutionary. And you rightly pointed out, well, multi-touch was. The ability to pinch and zoom and use a touchscreen the way the iPhone did was.
And specifically to touch
I guess
websites.
My point is that Apple gets credit for being revolutionary more often than they necessarily are.
And that is 100% absolutely true. They get over credited for stuff that is not necessarily that new. However, I will say that the iPhone, the idea that you can get the actual website and that you can reach forward and touch it was so revolutionary that it infected our laptops. And all of a sudden, Microsoft is allowing you to reach forward and touch websites and so on. We've never had anything like that with Apple TV. And here's my question to you, dear Jared, is are we, even if they give us the skinny bundle, is it too late for that to be the killer app? It seems to me like the killer app is artificial intelligence. It seems to me like the killer app is, hi, let's talk about what kind of television you like. Let me simplify everything, take everything away. You won't even know that Netflix isn't in Apple TV because I'm here to take care of all of that for you.
I think there's room to build that kind of thing, but this is a cord cutting show. I think that the thing that hasn't been done yet, and this kind of is like a classic Apple move, right? Take something that's been floating around for a while, and kind of crystallize it into something. Is there are all these skinny bundles, and they're available on all these devices. Nobody's really come forward and said, like, buy this box, subscribe to our service. It's all going to work through this interface that's right here, super simple. All these people want to get rid of cable. We're going to give you the tools to do that today, and I think that they can really put something together that kind of makes everything click for people.
Hey, Tom.
That hasn't exactly been done yet.
I don't know that we could have a possible better first act cliffhanger tease than what Jared just teed up for us.
You mean someone would be able to say, it doesn't matter what box you have, we'll just let you say out loud what show you want to watch and bring it to you.
Let's put a pin in that. And meanwhile, divert our attention to what really matters, which is what brings this show to over 1,772 fabulous patrons over at patreon.com/Cordkillers. Hey, Tom, do you realize that as of last month, we have crossed our 3-year anniversary of Patreon, keeping us loud, live, and independent. We have outlasted the previous incarnation of this show. We are truly independent. We've never needed to take ads ever, and it's because people find value in what we're doing, and they enjoy getting their own exclusive RSS feed where they can listen to both Cordkillers and Spoiler in Time straight through, just like we record it.
So you're saying that they're just willing to support the show for 3 years now based on that. And I don't need to execute my idea of saying, I'm not going to tell you about that service I teased unless you go back us on Patreon right now.
Well, I mean, we could turn the whole show into clickbait and just say, coming up, 6 things you won't believe you weren't able to hear unless you paid us $1 an episode.
But no, all kidding aside, we super, super appreciate every single person who backs us at patreon.com/Cordkillers. Here for 3 years because of you. Give yourself a pat on the back.
Thank you, guys. It's amazing.
All right, let's talk about how to watch the stuff we watch. And that service/box that we were alluding to is really just a box, although it's got a little service in it too. It's called Cavo. Spelled Caavo at Code Media as well, announced their streaming media box that doesn't do any streaming media. It just plugs into your other boxes. It's essentially a little bit HDMI splitter, HDMI controller. It's a little bit machine learning. And a little bit aggregation. So you take your Apple TV, you take your Roku, you can even take your cable box if you're still subscribing to cable, plug it into the Cavo, and the Cavo gives you a unified front end. It just shows you the services, whether it's on multiple boxes or not, uses machine learning to interpret what's getting sent to it from the other boxes. So if the box says, we're not going to let you control directly over HDMI for this one, Cavo will just pretend to be you with a remote, and machine vision will see where things are. Like that's the way they control the Apple TV. You have to have a Cavo app that it will, on the machine end, automatically launch and use that to launch other apps and get you to the shows. But essentially what it's doing is saying, you just tell us what you want to watch, either by typing it in with the remote or through Amazon Voice Services. You can actually add the Cavo skill and just speak it out loud and say, I want to watch The Young Pope. It will go and it will log you in to HBO Now on whatever box you tell it you prefer and launch that. Cavo was founded by the late Blake Krikorian. He was the former Slingbox CEO and is run now by former Microsoft employee Andrew Einaudi. Cavo will go up for pre-order in May. And here's the rub, shipping in autumn for $400. Slingbox So CEO this thing ain't cheap.
Okay, so $400. It's going to be expensive, but you sent this to me early, like just after last week's Cordkillers, and I watched the entire demonstration featuring Walt Mossberg and others. I found it rather extraordinary. Jared, did you see this?
I didn't see the demo. I read a bunch of the stories. I wasn't aware that they had demoed it extensively.
Well, the demo was one of those on-stage affairs where
Sure.
they said it and you could tell that they had definitely practiced everything ahead of time, and it was like this was an ideal representation of what we were looking at. But the important thing to me is, even if it doesn't work as well as advertised, it certainly does the parts that I hate the most about all of these devices, right, is that I don't want to have to learn to do any of them. Well, like I have, in theory, let's say I had more money than time. I could remain blissfully ignorant and just talk about what I wanted and then see it come out. Do you feel like this is a premium high-end option that will appeal to the masses?
Well, they did basically say we're going to sell 5,000 of these when it comes out, and then we'll do a cheap mass market version later. Mm-hmm. So they don't really care how many they sell right up front. And would either of you guys be willing to wager that the machine vision technology gets acquired before they come out with a mass market product?
Very likely. Very likely.
Well, and honestly, depending on who acquires them, they may acquire them for both, right? They may say, we definitely want your machine learning technology, and we would also like to add this to the Roku, right? Or whatever. Or it's somebody who buys them and like, we don't really care about the box at all, but we want to license out that machine learning technology to as many people as we can, or use it with whatever. I mean, it's a very, very likely outcome, which is why these guys go on stage and demonstrate it at Code Media. It's why they sell it for $400 in a limited edition, is they want to get acquired. That was Slingbox's whole play. Slingbox was great. They wanted to get acquired, and they got acquired by Dish. That's a plan that a lot of people pursue. So it would not surprise me at all. And there's some cool stuff though that's not even just the machine vision. There's also some learning where you don't have to say like a universal remote, tell it what is plugged in. You unplug it. This is one of the things they showed on stage. You, let's say, set this up and say, I prefer to watch Netflix on the Roku. So when you say watch Stranger Things, it goes to the Roku and launches Stranger Things. You unplug the Roku, but leave your Apple TV plugged in. The next time you say watch Stranger Things, it'll launch it on the Apple TV. It doesn't get confused and go, I'm trying to find the Roku and I don't see it. It knows that the Roku's not there, and it moves on to the next available option.
Well, all of this felt to me, this whole demo felt like a shot across the bow, where it did not matter how good the demo executed on stage. It did not matter how good the product is going to be. It was like a loud, double bold-faced, all caps announcement of, hey, Apple TV interested people, here's a way to get around working out partnerships. Isn't it weird that Netflix isn't on Apple TV? You can get around this if you invest in AI instead of licensing deals.
Right, and what Brian said is not that it's not on Apple TV, but not in the TV app.
Yeah, sorry.
With its own originals, right? You can get some of the Netflix back catalog to show up, but yeah, there's always this like, well, we can totally do the recommendations and the interface and everything, but we can't bring in all the content because we don't have the rights to. These guys just did a whole end around.
All right, well, real quick, Jared, this is to me in every way the proto Apple One made of wood, and it's even made of wood,
like literally made of wood, yeah.
Edition of what I want. I want to be willfully ignorant of where anything comes from. All I want is an AI that gets me and that I don't have to deal with anything. And I feel like in so many ways that's what everybody else wants. Do you whether this individual device is successful or not, do you feel like there's a future in this idea of a middle agent between you and the billions of different accounts that you have?
I'm a little bit skeptical. I think if we're talking about streaming devices, the problem is getting Amazon onto Apple TV or something like that, and that's just get a Roku if that's your issue. I mean, how many times does that come up? And then if we're talking about bridging the divide between cable boxes and streaming, one thing they did kind of admit was that they would need direct partnerships with cable companies to get full DVR functionality onto there. They could make it work with Dish and DirecTV, but they couldn't make it work with other boxes. So there's some things there that, I don't know. It seems a bit kludgy. And for me, I try to go for minimalism in the living room of my boxes. I like to have one box that does everything, and I haven't found it that hard to get what I need through one device if need be.
I'll tell you what, if this, okay, I like the PlayStation View interface on the Apple TV better than on the Roku by far. But I also like Amazon, which is on my Roku, or it could be on my Fire TV. If this was a $50 device that said, hey, you don't have to ever think about Amazon is on this box and your favorite PlayStation View interface is over there, then that's worth it to me. $400 is definitely we just want people who won't not buy things to beta test them for us.
So real quick, I'm willing to cede the entire territory of this thing being a complete and commercial disaster. I'm willing to say all of it gets swept under the rugs. I'm willing to say they pull a Aereo and get sued and it goes to the Supreme Court and all that stuff. Let's say this thing is an abject disaster. 2 years from now, though, I really feel like there could be a $50 box that all it does is listen to you, upload your stuff to the cloud, a la Alexa or Siri, to a cloud machine learning. It knows all of the players in all of the things ever. It knows you have a natural language conversation with it about what boxes you have and which things you prefer and how they're set up, and that it just. I feel like if not this, the next version of it, where like I will pay real money for the expediency of remaining ignorant about where anything comes from and to not care about it. That is worth a lot of money to me.
But don't the Amazon and the Apple TV boxes kind of have that with universal search?
Halfway. I mean,
they have. It's that they don't have the services.
No.
Not
I
that
have
they
to
can't
learn
search.
their environment. I have to learn their ecosystem. I have to learn whether menu is back and up and down and left. And I don't want to know
learn how the remote
none of
works.
that. I don't want to know none of that. I don't want to know none of that.
How the remote that you're
correct.
using...
Literally. I am to the point now where I literally don't want to learn the nested structure of the menus. I don't ever want to have to be confused about anything ever. I will pay so much money to be dumb as rocks.
I will pay someone to stand in my house and turn my TV on for me.
But that would be embarrassing. That would be an emotional cost. I will pay money to have somebody allow me to be ignorant.
But the voice search in the universal, what I'm saying is the voice search and the universal search on the Amazon and the Apple TV fill like 99% of that.
It's the difference
just that they don't
between
have
saying
holes
I
in
would like
services.
a can of dog food and being handed a map to where the dog food is versus I would like a can of dog food and dog food appearing.
Okay.
Like
What
that,
I'm saying is that with
and
those
granted,
services, they find like this is on Netflix
sure,
and this is
they
on that
give
thing,
really good maps to
and
where
you
the
just
dog food
click-
is.
You just click a button.
I
Okay.
I can't be bothered. I don't want a map to the dog food. I want the dog food.
Maybe the acquirer is Apple, and the technology gets built into the mythical Apple television.
The only reason I could see that not working is if they have a sunk cost fallacy that they've invested too much in the licensing deals that they have. But I agree. I think you're right. That would make the one box to rule them all.
Apple buys this. I totally buy. Apple kills the Cavo would absolutely happen. This becomes a machine learning for the Apple TV to be able to be used better the way it is. It's not going. Apple's never going to let you use their device to control an Amazon Fire TV. I have a feeling.
Yeah, you're probably right.
What a bummer.
But one other company that's doing a little bit of acquisition in order to improve their product, even a little algorithmic acquisition, is Plex. We talked about them acquiring Watch Now and the idea of tailored news broadcasts. And Jared, you have a great write-up on Fast Company right now about where Plex is going and how it's moved well beyond its modified XBMC roots and is now facing the task of becoming a massively appealing product.
Yeah, I met with those guys at CES. It was really weird timing. I've been thinking about them for a while and what they were starting to do with DVR, and I was like, well, let's see what's happening with Plex because, traditionally they're all about you take your ripped DVDs and they don't want to talk about it much, but piracy, and you bring that stuff in. You have this great media center, but what are they doing? All that stuff is kind of in decline. What's next for them? And so it turns out that they were getting ready to acquire Watch Up, which is an aggregated kind of news service. They're talking about moving into hosting video podcasts and maybe children's content and maybe even like VR and AR. And then maybe even like doing some deep linking into other apps. So maybe you go to Plex and you get linked out to Netflix or Amazon from one interface, and then you curate your library, and it's the same across every device, just like it is with Plex now. It's an interesting strategy. I guess the question is how much of that is just happening already without Plex, and what can companies like Netflix start to do news and these kind of things that Plex is looking to do in a better way or have more resources to throw at it.
Yeah, one of the biggest impediments to more widespread adoption to Plex, which is a brilliant piece of software, is first having to set it up on a server, right? You had to have a computer in your house that you would run Plex off of, which isn't that complicated, but a lot of people are like, wait, I don't know, that sounds weird. I don't know that I want to make that work. And then the second is you need to put the content in it, right? And that means if you're trying to obey the law, there's not a lot of content you can put in there necessarily. So that gave a lot of people pause as well. They've always just ignored that later point of how the content gets in there, but they have been focusing more on, hey, we're going to provide access to legal services like Netflix and Hulu as well. And particularly, they have now made it so that you can store your media in the cloud. You don't have to set up that server if you don't want to. A lot of people see that as cheating with something like Plex, but if you're someone where that was the barrier, is like, I don't want to have to run it on my own machine, you can now do a cloud version of it as well.
Yeah, I guess I'm I don't know, personal server racist. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of a better word. Prejudiced.
You're prejudiced against personal servers, or
mainly because like I remember a time when it's like you had to get no IP address to forward to your Roadrunner account or whatever. It just all I think of when I think of running my own personal anything is trouble, headaches, not always there, which is strange because we definitely run a network attacks. Yeah, we run a NAS here, and that all of our team access. So Jared, real quick, if you were going to predict a timeline for where we're going to be in various amounts of times, how do you see everything rolling out for the future of Plex?
They're talking 5 to 7 year time frame for the kind of thing where they want to get to in terms of being this central hub for all of your content. So they're not in a huge rush, but I guess the challenge is, is their audience going to start to dwindle or just kind of, not be that useful anymore? I should say that, they're adamant about saying that the media server element is not going anywhere. And they even said that it's an 85% gross margin business for them, and it's still growing, and they see opportunities to, have AR, VR content hosted on the server. There's a lot of stuff, and the cloud stuff. So there's a lot happening on the server side. But I think they realize that people are streaming and they want to be involved with that.
By the way, you just blew my mind because AR, VR content is the new 1080p. Because recently, Justin and I did a bunch of work with Discovery, and I went back and revisited the stuff we shot with Discovery VR last year. And originally, I had watched it as streaming content to my phone that was, kind of AR, or you could put it in Google goggles. And it was it was good. It was a little blurrier than I had expected. But then I re-downloaded it for the Vive, and I was astonished how, it's like an 800 megabyte file at one resolution, but then to get the proper Vive full download, it was like 6.5 gigs or whatever. And that was for like 4 minutes of content. Like, I can't imagine how a 90-minute, 120-minute, 180-minute narrative story would go at that kind of resolution. That's going to be the kind of thing that people are going to go back to offline viewing, to downloading in advance. And I feel like that's going to, streaming will not be an option for that.
Yeah, so if they, if that file is never going to fit on your phone,
right?
It's never going to fit on a Google,
and it's never going to stream real time, even if on most services.
Right, but if they can make the server side more accessible, I don't know how you would stream VR from the cloud without making people hurl in terms of latency, but if you had a server in your home, it could be more viable.
That's great. That's great unmined space. Oh man, kudos to Plex for having that future-proof thinking. That's brilliant.
Well, and again, go back to what you said earlier, Jared, about Cavo. I know this is not where Plex's mind is, but buying something like Watch Up, which I apologize for calling Watch Now earlier, but buying that, thinking about how else can we use this server in ways that we didn't anticipate when we first started this project, makes them an attractive acquisition target as well.
Sure. I asked them, is acquisition something you would consider? And they said, we're not for sale, but if it was the right company and
someone shows up with a suitcase of cash,
yeah, sure. That's all.
They're like,
right?
We're not for sale, but I mean, if you want to peek under the dress, I mean, I don't know, we're just at a party. I'm a little tipsy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I highly recommend going out and checking out fastcompany.com to find Jared's Plex's bold plan. Look for that title. We'll have a link to it in the show notes as well. Let's talk about what to watch in Under Surveillance.
Not like military. It's all about location.
Under Surveillance.
I got several trailers out this week. Among them, a new trailer for The Leftovers, season starting April 16th. Did you see it, Brian?
I did. I hated it. And I love The Leftovers more than you. It's like they took all the lessons learned from the flipping of the message of season 2 and decided to undo them and go back to apocalyptic horse crap for season 3.
Well, and what I don't like, too, is that instead of just a trailer of scenes from the episode, it's a faux warning message as if you're boarding an airplane, except it's not from the show and it's not anything they would ever say on the show. It's just giving you that apocalyptic feel.
Here's the most charitable attribution I could give to this is that they shot a really amazing season 3 that follows on the heels of season 2, gets everything right, it makes it personal and about these characters, and that they handed it to marketing and somebody was only half paying attention and basically said, let's do like the marketing from the first season. Brrr, doom and gloom.
Fingers crossed.
That's how the guy talks.
Yeah, no, I remember hearing that. Do you ever watch The Leftovers, Jared? I'm just curious.
No, I have not watched it.
Oh.
Yeah. Don't watch this trailer. It won't convince you to start. Yeah. The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks will be released on April 22nd on HBO. It's a movie about a woman whose stem cells were sampled in 1951. She's Henrietta Lacks, and became the HeLa, Henrietta Lacks, get it? H-E-L-A. The HeLa line of stem cells used for medical research around the world. Her family didn't even know that she was the source of these stem cells. She died when she was in her 30s. And so this is about a woman played by Oprah Winfrey who goes to research the history of her ancestor, Henrietta Lacks.
I love this story. If you want a quick preview of what this very human drama is about, I believe there's a Radio Lab about this. It is heart-wrenching and breaking because on the one hand, every stem cell line that they've ever tried to create eventually dies, except for hers. Hers just duplicates forever and ever and ever. She didn't even know what she was doing at the time. Her family received no compensation for years and years, and then they went and they found, and they approached the family. Families filled with skepticism. It is simultaneously a fascinating scientific discovery, one of the most important ones, and also an unbelievably human drama. And it just hearing the 1 hour long synopsis of it broke my heart and has me utterly excited of this. And Oprah Winfrey, I don't know if you know this, she makes good stuff when she really invests herself. Yeah.
Coming April 22nd to HBO. Also coming the day after that, on April 23rd, Silicon Valley Season 4, a new teaser out. If you're trying to Kannada it, then you might not want to listen to my next phrase, but it starts with the leader of Pied Piper deciding he wants to start all over from scratch. Brian?
I Kannada'd it. I definitely hummed and put my fingers in my ear. I don't know what you just said.
Are you excited for Silicon Valley Season 4?
I'm excited that you're excited, and I, meanwhile, watched the season out of order, and so I look forward to watching the rest of it all at once, straight through.
All right, let's get to the meat of what to watch. J.J. Abrams and Stephen King are doing a Hulu original called Castle Rock. It will incorporate themes and characters from King's books that included Castle Rock, Maine as a location. It's a fictional location. Each season will follow a different set of characters and storylines while interjecting themes and specific characters from previous seasons, as well as these ancillary works. The teaser just shows what look like blood vessels connecting things from the Stephen King universe, like Annie Wilkes and Shawshank Prison, and Red Rum is heard in the background, et cetera, et cetera. Brian, you're our resident Stephen King fan. How does this strike you?
In an alternate reality is Brian Brushwood, who's only read the books and is not familiar with any of the behind-the-scenes drama of any of the makings of any of the things, and he is giddy excited because Stephen King wrote all of these books with the connective tissue being the Dark Tower. He's described the Dark Tower as the Jupiter around which all of his books orbit. And he's written in cross, connective tissue from all of the books. And the idea of a sequence of something set in this world that has all of these characters interacting should make him giddy. Unfortunately, this is the reality where Brian Brushwood has been covering this story for 5 years, half a decade, Tom. It began with me getting you into this whole universe, and then we together have followed the buildup of the idea of the Dark Tower series, directed by Frank Oz with the television series and all this stuff, and J.J. Abrams involved, where it crumbled. And now we're seeing a Dark Tower movie come out, and now we're seeing, meanwhile, from the people who brought us 11/22/63, is that what it is? A largely disappointing iteration of what's one of his best books, in my opinion. This looks like a fire sale. It looks like a fire sale being dumped off onto Hulu. It looks like Stephen King is not happy with how the Dark Tower movie is going. It looks like the movie's going to be a one-off. It looks like they're taking all the spare parts and he's saying, well, somebody make something with this. And J.J. Abrams willing to slap his name on it. And they're going to throw it to Hulu to give us a slapdash thing like 11/22/63. Which is a real bummer. And by the way, as evidence, you got Salem's Lot, which is in the Dark Tower universe directly. You got Pennywise the Clown, which is from it directly in the Dark Tower universe. They are selling, if there was any plan for the Dark Tower movie to be the beginning of, some version of the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Stephen King properties, we would not be seeing it all sold wholesale to Hulu like this. And I'm really, really bummed.
How many seasons are they committing?
Go ahead, Jared. What was that?
I was going to say, how many seasons are they committing to this up front?
As far as I know, it's just the one season. I don't know. I mean, they say each season will follow a different set of characters, but it doesn't make it clear whether they've approved multiple seasons at once.
Yeah, because Hulu's been doing these kind of miniseries lately, right? These sort of one-off things. So that would be an ambitious move for them to do this, but if it's a dumpster fire, then that could be a big problem.
I mean,
that's the problem, right? Is everything Brian says makes perfect sense, right? Which is like, oh, they did want to do a Dark Tower TV series, and why would they be giving away some of the elements of the Dark Tower to another television series if they were still planning on that, unless they were hoping it would complement it and encourage interest, but we're not hearing anything about it, so it doesn't sound good. But outside of that, the idea of saying, hey, American Horror Story does these anthology seasons, that seems to work pretty well. What if we did it in the Stephen King universe? That kind of sounds awesome, right? J.J. Abrams and Stephen King getting together on a series that takes place in his universe with new content, that could be awesome too. It's just that you're right. If we're sitting here thinking like, hey, man, I want the Dark Tower to turn into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and you know how that works already, you don't start by saying, so let's pretend it's the 90s and we'll give one property to Fox and one property to Sony and another property to Disney and then eventually have to work them back together again.
We are just now coming out of the dark ages of the balkanization of the Marvel properties, right? The fact that finally we're getting Spider-Man involved with the MCU is great. Meanwhile, the Fantastic Four, my favorite comic book as a kid, is still in its own ghetto. And meanwhile, we're seeing Logan, which by the way looks totally rad, is kind of in its own splinter universe or whatever. I think if everybody felt gangbusters on this, they wouldn't be doing it this way. And again, that's all fear speaking. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to me crying on
suffering and Brian in tears. So.
It's a good point. It kind of ties into the sort of feeling I have about Hulu, right? And they have their TV industry backers, and you always kind of wonder like how committed they are to one business model or another. And this kind of like what you're saying, Brian, is that you really have to go all in with this kind of investment in this universe.
Well, or at least that's my presupposition, and that might be pure prejudice on my part because we've seen it work so well with the MCU, but also we've seen it fail with the DC universe. Going all in hasn't worked out for them so well, and meanwhile, it's the side action on television that's worked really well for DC. So who knows? Maybe the movie Dark Tower will suck, and I'll be blown away by all this. I certainly hope so. I want good. Stephen King, has crafted something extraordinary, and I just want it done justice. And by and large, I don't know who Stephen King's agent is, but man, oh man, does a lot of awesome Stephen King stuff end up looking pretty stinky when it gets onto the screen.
Well, I'll finish with two possible positives. One is Stephen King is involved. That's not a guarantee of it working out, I know, but it's better than him not being involved.
Sure.
He's involved in both. And number two, Hulu may be looking at this as their Netflix Marvel series. Netflix has that Marvel Universe series that is separated from the main universe, but still involved, right?
Man.
Like it acknowledges that universe. Maybe that's what Hulu's thinking of doing here.
Wouldn't that be great? And I'm gonna end on a positive note on that vision. I would love that to be the case.
Let's talk a little bit about what we've been watching. Starting with you, Jared. What's been filling your eyeballs?
I've been watching a lot of comedy lately, stand-up comedy. Bill Burr has a new special, Walk Your Way Out, which I would say was not as strong as his last one, but was still pretty good. Pete Holmes is on HBO, and it's fantastic. What else do I got here? I haven't watched this yet, but Michael Che, who's on Weekend Update.
Oh yeah,
on
he's
SNL.
Brilliant. He's hilarious.
He has a Netflix special. Actually, speaking of which, we've been catching up on all the SNLs, which are surprisingly easy to watch. I would say almost in their entirety on YouTube.
Oh yeah. It took him a while to get there, but SNL finally woke up and be like, "Oh, we can reach everyone here." I guess that's relevant now.
We caught up on Friday, and we didn't see a single ad, which was really weird. But whatever.
Good.
Yeah, very nice. So I have been lucky enough to get to see a couple of previews recently because of my wife's job. And so, Brian, I don't know how much you want me to say about Logan because I got to see it this week.
I'm really torn about this because on the here's the part that I only truly care about. Is it good?
Yes.
Is it great?
Yes.
We're done.
Yeah. And you've seen the trailer, right?
Oh yeah. And
so
I watched the trailer 12 times and I cried every time.
The one thing about the trailer that comes through in the movie to me is that aside from this being an X-Men Wolverine, superhero story, which it absolutely is, and there's action scenes that are great, it is also the story of taking care of an elderly father and a young daughter.
Yep.
Now, yes, Professor X is not actually Wolverine's father. I get that. But that is the story that they're building here.
It's dude, I'm telling you, and this is one thing that Justin keeps insisting, it's not going to make all the money in the world, and he says, and his point is because it's a superhero movie, and who cares about the X-Men? I was like, dude, if you showed Deadpool to anyone, Deadpool, the #1 R-rated comic book movie of all time, if you show that, they would think, well, I don't know who that guy is, but it looks funny, and then they'll go, right? You could show
Eileen
this to
was worried that because she hasn't seen either of the Wolverine movies, would she get it? And so that may stop some people from purchasing the ticket. But after she saw it, she's like, oh, yeah, no, I don't feel it. She's like, I wasn't missing anything, right? And I'm like, no, you weren't.
Right. And that's the thing is the trailers are going to come out and people are going to, it's going to evoke the right emotions where they're like, well, I don't know who this guy is. And I know it's some kind of superhero thing, but I understand that emotion right there. And I want to experience it with my kid. Like that absolutely going to happen. Is going to make all the money in the world. And I'm going to win the draft.
Yeah, probably. Also, I watched Moonlight, which you can rent or buy on a bunch of the different services now. It just arrived on the digital stores. So we rented it and watched it, and it's fantastic. Just a great look at a young man. First of all, it gets billed as looking at a young homosexual black man growing up in Miami, which it is, but it is mostly a young black man growing up in a poor neighborhood in Miami. And then he's also gay on top of that, right? It's like, let's just add that in. It's not, I think a lot of people think it's going to be coming at you with a preachy message, and it doesn't at all. It's not nearly as sad. A lot of people are like, oh, it's going to be heavy depressing. It's not nearly as depressing as I expected, but it doesn't short you on the message. In fact, I think it's more powerful because of it, because it just presents it as like, this is just the way life is in these situations. And it's broken up into 3 what they call chapters. So there's, him as a very young boy, him as a high schooler, and then him as a young adult. And all the Oscar buzz is fully deserved. That movie is fantastic. And I recommend people don't be put off like, oh, I don't want to watch a depressing movie. Unless you're like, I need a comedy, this is not it. But it's just a good drama.
Hey, man, here's the important question. Have you watched any buzzworthy M. Night Shyamalan quietly released?
You're going to want to catch spoiler in time because Brian and I are going to talk about Split. Jared, you haven't happened to seen it, have you?
No.
Do you know anything about it?
To? No, I really don't.
Have you watched?
Shyamalan has been off my radar lately.
Since when? What's the last of his movies you liked?
This is going to be really embarrassing, but I kind of a little bit liked. What was the one that Happening? The really bad one.
The Happening. Okay, all right.
I thought but I was young and I found it kind of creepy.
Okay,
I don't know. That was the last thing.
If you if there was a time that you liked M. Night Shyamalan, I highly recommend you watch it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Even if you're like, I haven't liked M. Night Shyamalan since the 90s, then still watch it. That's fine.
It really is. It's him in a return to form. That's amazing.
All right, let's see what's been on the lookout for Bryce. Who's been looking out for you, Bryce? Wait, no, I've got it reversed. Bryce, what have you been on the lookout for?
Who have you been attacking that has a lookout posted for you?
We got an email from Corey. He sent along a YouTube channel. I think this is great. He writes, hey, guys, I have a YouTube channel on the lookout pick for you. It is Tom Scott. He does a couple of series called Things You Might Not Know and Amazing Places, where he talks about, pretty cool places and things you almost definitely didn't know. They're all really short with no preamble, not even a title card. I always come away from them learning about something new, and all delivered with a soothing British accent. Thank you for sending that along, Corey. Yeah, I watched a couple of these today. These are really great. There's about one a week, it looks like, and Corey's right. It gets right to the thing, and it's very lean. It reminds me of almost like news packages, like TV station or TV
NPR bits or something,
or even local news.
Mm-hmm.
It's very direct. It's very clean, and I think it's really cool. You could go and like the one we're looking at right now is about a monument in Denmark, and it's this big dome art sculpture, and it's very frustrating for a very specific reason. But I think it's cool. You should definitely check that out. That's youtube.com/Enyay. That's ENYAY, not the Enyay mark.
Got it. Don't just put in.
Don't just put in.
It's a phonetic spelling of the Enyay. Got it. All right.
Yeah. No, don't do Alt-N-N. It won't get you there. Thank you, folks, for sending that along. If you got something we should be on the lookout for, email us cordkillers@gmail.com. Meanwhile, real quickly, I want to thank everybody who backed my book Pilot X on Inkshares. Paperback copies have started showing up. Ebooks got sent out. Barnes & Noble apparently almost wiped out our first print run, so it should be on some bookshelves in various places. So that's coming out on March 14th.
That's amazing. And I'm sure I asked you this before, but was that intentionally Pi Day that you did that?
No, Inkshares picked that, and I don't know that it was for Pi Day. They haven't told me that if it was, but it is perfectly timed. So
that's great.
You can get it on Audible, you can get it on Amazon, you can get it at Barnes & Noble, you can get it some local bookstores as well. University of Oregon bookstore apparently bought a copy or two to put on the shelves. So check it out if you want a book about time traveling people and destruction of the universe. Pilot X is your book. TomMerrittBooks.com. Let's move on to the front lines.
Awesome.
Front lines.
Facebook announced an app for Apple TV, Fire TV, and Samsung smart TVs coming soon. They haven't launched it yet. The app will recommend videos and watch videos saved to watch later. So you can get some that they'll say, hey, we think you might like this. And if you save some from your Facebook app, it'll put them on this app as well. It'll just be for videos, though. Facebook account will be required. You'll have to log in to watch the videos. Facebook also announced that autoplay of videos in the news feed will play with the sound on, because who has ever complained about that? A picture-in-picture feature will let users watch video while they continue to scroll through the news feed. That's pretty useful. And vertical video viewing is rolling out to all Android and iOS versions of the app.
So knowing that Facebook's angle on this is to know what it is you're watching at all times and be, like they're going to get tremendous value from just watching you.
They want to
watch.
sell ads.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like for example, today I had to log into Waze, and I went through the frustrating process of bothering to reset my password, which I couldn't remember for the login on Waze, rather than just click that seductive, simple login with Facebook button. Like, should I stop doing that? Should I just give in to Facebook, let them know everything about me, or what?
It's up to you. That is a personal choice, right? That is between you and your God. I don't know. I don't use Facebook itself a lot, so I use the Facebook login as my kind of throwaway login when it's there, because I feel like, oh, well, they don't really know that much about me anyway, so fine.
Well,
I also pay very close attention to what information is getting sent to Facebook, because it shows you that little list.
Interesting. Meanwhile, Starz will start offering prepaid cards for its standalone streaming service. They'll work like other gift cards you could buy at grocery store checkout lines. This is brilliant, because my favorite thing about Starz, I have nothing but good vibes about the way Starz works as an add-on for Amazon. We talked about this during After Things podcast. We like I added it for the 7 days. It rolled over to a month. The end of the month happened, and it said, hey, you didn't renew, so we're canceling now. And I'm like, that is classy as hell, and I really like the way they're doing it. Jared, have you messed around with the Starz add-ons for Amazon?
No, I do like Amazon add-ons channels, I guess, in general as a topic or as an approach, but I haven't used Starz, no.
Yeah, so far I've had a fantastic experience, and I'm looking forward to going back and watching the rest of Ash versus Evil Dead.
Yeah, so if you don't have a credit card, this is a way to get Starz. And if you have a credit card, but you really don't want to give it to Starz, you don't trust them, or you're just afraid of it even rolling over for a month, this is a way to say, oh, I'm just going to put a limit on it. I'm going to buy the Starz gift card and take it as far as it goes, and then I'm done. Comcast is replacing its Xfinity TV mobile app with a new app that they will call Xfinity Stream that will allow live TV, on-demand, and DVR recordings from Xfinity boxes to be accessed. That comes on February 28th to Android and iOS. It will also connect to Stream TV, which is Comcast's internet-only service. Stream TV right now is only available in Boston and Chicago, and it only works for Xfinity Internet subscribers. And they say they're going to change the name of it because they don't want it to be confused with the new Xfinity Stream app.
Hey, meanwhile, Meanwhile, how's Google Home Stream Cast happening?
Did that put you in mind of the world confusion that Google has gone through? Yeah.
Oh, geez. I mean, it's like hey man, it's a trailer for another name confusion episode. Meanwhile, Fox's Movie of the Day app is available on Apple TV. The app delivers movies for purchase discounts at discounts of $5 to $10 total per movie, and it looks like these are like one-day sales for current popular movies.
And then it gets you in the Fox universe. They can send you some emails. You're relying on them to watch these movies. You can put them, I think, most of the time in ultraviolet. So you could access them through Vudu or Fandango Now or some of the other services like Cinema Now, I think, is part of that as well. Jared, what do you think of this sort of gambit of like, hey, use our app to buy your movies?
Sure, why not? I mean, it reminds me of the free app of the day thing that used to be a thing a few years ago, but I am not investing in a downloaded owned movie library at this point. I'm 100% stream or rent, so this has no value to me.
I mean, at $5, it's close enough to rental that maybe I would do it, but I don't know. I kind of like to make sure that I have access to everything everywhere. YouTube Red will release 4 original kids shows starting this spring. Hyperlinked will follow 5 members of a tween girl band L2M as they create a website. Dan TDM creates a big scene, stars British YouTube creator Daniel Middleton and several of his animated friends. The Kings of Atlantis is set in an underwater city of Atlantis, starring Cody and Joe. And then Fruit Ninja Frenzy Force is an animated show that follows 4 fruit ninjas as they fight evil using juice jitsu.
All right, so we're starting to sound, I say we, but I guess I mean really me. Previously, every iteration of this story, when it was a Hulu story, when it was an Amazon story, when it was a Netflix story, I had always said, yes, it's smart to go after kids. My kids watch this crap all the time. YouTube Red, though, is a different animal. I don't know. Like, my kids are not going to run across it and fall in love it and make me sign up for YouTube Red.
Do they use the YouTube Kids app?
They don't. They use straight up YouTube.
So what YouTube wants is you, as a parent, to be worried about that and make them use the YouTube Kids app,
so
whereas they can get access to these YouTube Red shows.
So if they're smart, what they'll do is feed me a bunch of cursing language videos inappropriately in the algorithm, and I'll freak out as a parent. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is going to be available through the YouTube Kids app as well. So
interesting. Cool. I don't know that I'll have the impact, but and only because YouTube is already the land that my kids navigate all the time. They just live in so many videos. What's the baby shark do 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 baby shark do 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 do? None of you guys. Is that a thing?
What's happening? Are you having a stroke?
No, I look. It's all I heard this week.
Do you smell toast?
Yes. To me, YouTube's strength with kids, because I have a 3-year-old, is just kind of like fulfilling random whims. You know, like my son is like, I want polar bears, and I'm like, all right, I can get that. Well, so I don't know what an original series is gonna accomplish unless they're really smart about it. Like Netflix, they created Dino Trucks, which is a combination of dinosaurs and trucks.
Brilliant.
Which seems to be, it's brilliant.
It's called Boys, the series.
They're in a boardroom and they're like, what do 3-year-old boys like? Dinosaurs, trucks. Okay, we got it.
Yeah.
And I'm not seeing that here, so, we'll see.
I swear, somebody out there knows that Baby Shark song. It's fine.
I'm sure they do. Do you want to bring us to the last one?
Oh shoot.
HBO.
HBO will put next episodes of Girls, Big Little Lies, and Crashing online and demand starting Friday, since the Oscars will be taking place. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What I read was and put Crashing online and on. And then new line, demand, starring Friday. Sorry about that.
Would you like me to read it instead?
On demand. I'm smelling toast, Tom. Just take it away. Save me.
So what Brian's trying to say is Girls, Big Little Lies, and Crashing will be available Friday. HBO Now, HBO Go, and on demand. That's the on demand part. Because the Oscars take place during the normal premiere time. So on Sunday evening, you can still watch it on HBO, but you'll get it early. For those of you who want to watch the Oscars, you don't have to miss your episodes.
Brian, I need you to raise your hands now.
Yeah.
The third part. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Good. Okay. We're fine. We're fine. I'm numb on this one. Is this all right?
Yeah. And Bryce pointed out before the show that the last time they did this was because of the presidential debates that were happening on a Sunday evening. They gave us Westworld a little bit early.
Oh, that's right. It's a good call.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, let's take some dispatches from the front. Fresh start, people.
Here we go. Take
All
it
right,
away.
we got this. Orgorn writes us, longtime cord cutter here, longtime fan of the show. The two kind of go hand in hand. Regarding your recent dispatches discussion about cord cutting in the UK, after having moved here recently myself, I felt the topic could use some more local content, so I researched UK's cord cutting options and just launched a dedicated website with guides, news, and reviews, www.cordbusters.co.uk. The name is definitely an homage to one of my favorite podcasts. Thanks and keep up the good work. Or, dude, or you're a champion. Thank you so much, man.
This is the beauty of the internet, right? We say, hey, are there any good resources for something? We find a couple, and then some guy's like, well, I know this stuff, and creates the resource.
It looks great.
Cordbusters.co.uk.
Super clean, super easy to follow.
We got TJ writing in who said, hey, back in December, recapping my adventures with killing the cord because Comcast made changes that rendered my TiVo obsolete, and you read that email on the show. I thought I should check back in. All right. How is TJ doing 2 months on? I'm extremely happy with my cord killing experience, and I don't see myself ever going back to cable. He's using PlayStation View, mostly because it was available on multiple platforms now, Fire TV and the Apple TV. Over-the-air antenna is working great for him. He's using an Apple TV for most of the non-broadcast viewing. He does find it annoying that he can't see his Amazon Prime Video on the Apple TV, but his wife is using the Fire Stick because that's where she wanted to watch her stuff. And he says that is lastly the most important thing is that she's still enjoying that. She still makes good use of the Fire Stick. He just wishes Apple and Amazon would kiss and make up over the Apple TV.
Man, will that ever happen, do you think?
Jared, is there a snowball's chance of that?
I can't figure out who's to blame more, you know? And the interesting thing is NVIDIA Shield TV got an Amazon app. And that app has on-demand purchases and rentals, which makes me think maybe that's a sticking point. But, you know, what if Apple was like, all right, you can have your on-demand purchases and rentals. Would that be enough? Or would Amazon then come in and say, no, we just don't want to be on your platform because we don't want people using Apple TV? So I don't know. It's really hard to tell.
Yeah, because don't forget, Amazon doesn't sell the Apple TV. That is part of their fight here. They basically, the way it looks to me is Amazon, and they've said this, doesn't want to have to pay the normal cut. Apple takes a 30% cut of everything sold, and they take a lower cut for subscription content, which Amazon could possibly qualify for, but they just don't want to give Apple that cut of their stuff. And that's why you don't see the Google Play Store there or whatever. And in fact, when you see the Amazon Video app on iOS, on the iPad and the iPhone, it doesn't have a store in it because they don't want to take that cut. But I guess they feel like because there's a browser on the iPad, it's a decent enough experience to go buy something and then watch it in the Amazon Video app. Whereas on the Apple TV, there's really no way for you to subscribe within that same device.
Meanwhile, Michael writes in saying, hey, Tom and Brian, so I'm all in on my Amazon Fire TV as most of my content is purchased from Amazon, and I've got Hulu, Netflix, and Prime as my primary sources. Yet you might find it interesting that I decided the other day to cut my HBO Now subscription in exchange for paying for HBO through Amazon's add-on services. Gives me all the same catalog. I was able to watch The Young Pope with in real time, same as all the other apps, but it kept me in the Amazon UI without kicking me off to another app. Oh, that does sound seductive. I've already got a Showtime add-on for watching Billions. If you haven't already started watching it, know that you're both missing the greatest show on TV ever. Just saying.
We always are. We'll never not be.
Hey, so I don't think much of getting. So I didn't think much of getting add-ons when I need them. The only downside of add-ons is that you can only cancel on the desktop Amazon site, which is fine by me because that's primarily where I watch all this stuff. But otherwise, I'm loving the experience of never leaving the Fire TV UI. Hope you find it interesting. Thank you so much, Michael.
Here's the other downside, if I can, because what we were just talking about. You do that, you can't get to, Showtime. You can't get to HBO Go through other devices, such as Apple TV. So unless you make sure you're on a device that has an Amazon app, then you're stuck. And I can't. I talked to Amazon about this, and they say, well, we're not opposed to doing authentication. It takes some work on our side. It takes some work on their side, but it's unclear exactly why it's not happening. Just make it happen.
Yeah. Well, because it takes some work on their side, and they're like, yeah, that's work that doesn't make us any money. So it's a P4 bug. It's in the queue. We'll get to it one of these days. Yeah, it would be interesting if Amazon did allow you to authenticate for HBO Go, but that's the downside, right? If Michael's using a Roku and a Fire Stick, then this works fine. If he wants to use an HBO Now app anywhere else where there's not an Amazon app, then not as nice. Hey guys, writes T. I'm wanting to add an Amazon Fire Stick to our Apple TV and Xfinity X1 box lineup, but we've run out of HDMI ports on our Samsung TV. Now I know there are HDMI splitters out there. What do I get to add 2 more ports? I've seen prices between $19 on Amazon up to $99 on Monoprice. Any advice would be helpful. And Bryce, you noted one that is the same one that I have, a Cavo HDMI switcher that sells for less than $20. Mm-hmm. I have that model he's showing on their video version of the show right now, and it works great.
The 301BN. It's got three ports for one. It's pretty good. It's got a little remote. It's got auto switch, so you never have to I'm using this app, this box, and now because you only really use one at a time. It has a remote. It's powered. It's pretty good. It works up to 1080p. I will say I don't think it doesn't always work great with my HDMI splitter or my video capture card for game consoles. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So you might want to use that other port if you do any of those other high-end video capture things.
And Jared, I should have asked you this before the show, but do you have a particular HDMI switcher that you use? I
don't. I always have made sure to have TVs that have an abundance of HDMI cables, inputs. But
sure.
Actually, I'm running out. I have all my game consoles since Nintendo in the basement, and now I'm acquiring new consoles and running out of room. So I could use something like that. Do these add any input lag or anything like that?
The Cavo has a tiny bit of switching lag, I've noticed. So it's a little less fast at switching between the inputs. But after that, I haven't noticed any degrading to the actual video quality.
Yeah, me neither.
Awesome.
I have an old Belkin switch too that I bought back in 2008, and it still works great. The problem is it doesn't support 4K. It does, it's not going to last forever because eventually certain signals just aren't going to work on it. But it's a workhorse. So Belkin makes some good ones too. You really can't go far wrong. You might want to just look at features and as always look at reviews.
And finally, Michael from North Texas blew my mind by writing, I don't remember how I found you guys back when you were doing frame rate on Twit, but as soon as I heard you guys had left Twit to start doing your own thing, I signed up on Patreon, and I think Cordkillers was the first show I supported on there. Okay, I just checked. Beginning in January of 2014, I signed up for Patreon and began supporting DTNS and Cordkillers. Holy cow, we are over 3 years old.
Yeah.
Well, we uploaded this in December 18th of 2013? Oh my goodness.
We did 2 beta shows in December 2013 and then launched the Patreon supported versions of the shows in January. It's been 3 years, but more than 3 years now.
You guys have transformed our lives, man. And we can't thank all 1,772 of you guys enough.
No, absolutely cannot. But we can, in person, thank Jared Newman for joining us on this show. Jared, tell folks a little bit more about what you're doing out there, about your newsletter, where they can find it, and all that.
Sure. Well, first of all, congratulations on 3 years, guys. It's really impressive.
Yeah. Thank you.
I live in Cincinnati. I'm a freelance writer for Tech Hive, where I write a weekly column called Cord Cutter Confidential. Earlier last summer, I started doing a newsletter, a weekly newsletter. We're up to about 4,000 subscribers now. The response has been great. It's free. You can sign up for that. Cord Cutter Weekly. There it is. And I also do some feature work for Fast Company, and that's where that Plex feature was out.
Fantastic.
Go check it out, techhive.com or jarednewman.com to find Cord Cutter Weekly. And go sign up. Do it now. We'll wait. We'll be right here. You done?
Oh, yeah. Right. Good. Right. Thank goodness.
All Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live on diamondclub.tv Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Brian, we're done.
Yeah. Oh, hey, quick programming note. Also, twitch.tv/Night Attack. We're simulcasting these days. If you guys enjoy Night Attack and our other shenanigans and the Weird Things podcast, we've consolidated all those on a Twitch channel. So if you're already doing Twitch, throw us a subscribe. We sure would appreciate it.
And we will cut your cords off at the knees next week.
Hey guys, Tom and Brian here. We just wanted to say thank you to all of our $5 patrons who keep us loud, live, and independent. You guys make Cordkillers the production that it is.
Your name appears in the video credits and appears in our hearts. And if you'd like to become one of them or see who they are, you can go to patreon.com/Cordkillers.
You'll need to do more than just go there, though. You'll have to sign up and, pledge an amount. But
Unless you just want to see who they are.
Well, I mean, you could gawk. That's a little creepy, isn't it?
If you want to be a gawker,
Let's go.
it's up to you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.